best place for below average Star Wars.
Hello there, and welcome to the Star Wars Show, the best place for below average Star Wars. I am the Geordie Jedi Pete.
And I'm Jason Hondo Ling.
And I'm the Canon Junkie XL Ian.
And we are back with a brand new episode of Star Wars. This week, it's been a huge week for Star Wars, you will say. The Acolyte, it's finally here. The social media's working, the promotional material's working, the trailer's here. We know when we're getting the first episodes. It's been a crazy, crazy time. It's all come very quickly. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the Acolyte 2 poster has been released. It was sort of a teaser poster and then more of a sort of background poster. And then we've had the trailer. And then, of course, we know that the Acolyte is scheduled to premiere on Disney Plus on June the 4th, 2024, with 2 episodes as the premiere. And then the other 6 episodes will be released weekly. But let's just start off. Go to you first, Ian. Just obviously, we've thought this could happen any week now for the past sort of 4 to 5 weeks, I suppose, as the rumours have been going around. And we've had our fingers crossed every week, every Monday, hoping something was going to happen. And then obviously this past week it finally did. Just talk us through your thoughts at the beginning of that week, and then just how your week went with all the crazy information. We were feasting this week on information.
It feels like you said, it feels like we've been talking about this for weeks on ends, and I've been saying it on Twitter for a while. This might be the week we get a trailer, and then I was at work when they dropped the obviously the teaser poster, which is a really cool poster, and I was at work, and obviously when the trailer dropped as well, I happened to be at work, so I did have to slink off and watch the trailer while I was at work, and then obviously reacted to it on the night when I got home from work. No, hugely excited. I've said it before, this is one of my most anticipated pro Star Wars projects in a long time, and I'm really excited of how now they're building towards it as we obviously approach June for when the first episode releases.
Indeed, I'm just so glad that we've started this promotional push in the middle of the Bad Batch, which I think maybe in the past they wouldn't have done, but it just makes sense to do it. We need to get people talking about this. It's coming soon. It's going to be here on June the 4th before we even know it. So yeah, it's really good. Jason, how was your Acolyte week? Talk us through it and just talk about how much you've enjoyed feasting on all the Star Wars teasers we've had.
Yeah, it's been quite cool for me. I'm quite lucky that obviously I work with a young chap, Jordan, who's new to Star Wars. So I've shared his excitement. Because over the last 18 months, he's literally binge watched everything that he could Star Wars wise. And he's really excited, and I sort of enjoy talking on a day-to-day basis about it. Obviously, seeing the teaser trailer, it was like, yeah, this looks really, really awesome. First time in a while that, we got some real Jedi sort of action going on, whereas obviously with Ahsoka you've got the Jedi, but that's only a couple of Jedi. This is full-on Jedi action. And the trailer, was just a feast on the eyes for that sort of thing. The poster, when I saw that, I thought that is really, really cool. The whole idea of we knew that the story was going to be about the possible emergence of the Sith. So seeing this red lightsaber, but instead of the light blade, it's like the blood. It's just the death of the Jedi sort of thing. It's a real teaser, but I love it. And I think they've done a really good job. I think the way that it was announced, we see the posters, and by the way, you're getting the trailer tomorrow. It sort of really fed everyone's enthusiasm for it. So I think they've finally got the marketing really spot on with this. Just looking forward to learning more and more about it. I have to admit, it's now given me the inkling that maybe I need to binge read a few novels to get me into the world of the High Republic.
Yeah, so just for those who maybe don't know what the Acolyte is, so the Acolyte is obviously it's going to be an 8-part series coming to Disney Plus. The Acolyte is set at the end of the Star Wars High Republic era, which is currently being told in Star Wars Publishing. And it's approximately 100 years before Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And it's going to see a respected Jedi Master investigating a series of crimes that bring them into conflict with a former Padawan learner and reveals sinister forces, is sort of what we know. So the High Republic's been telling the story of, like I said, the story maybe, between 100 and 200 years before the Phantom Menace, and then this show was going to take place sort of towards the end of our High Republic era. For me, it was, again, digital marketing done perfectly. The poster drops and it's, it's that lightsaber, but it's been bludgeoned. It's got blood on the saber, as if someone's like knocked someone's head in with it. And then obviously the blade is also blood, like someone's dragged it. And the tagline is, "In an age of light, a darkness rises," where, the High Republic era, for light and life, it's very much about the sort of the light of the Jedi in the Golden Age. But we're getting close out of the Phantom Menace, the prequel trilogy, which is of course the fall of the Jedi. So in a light of age, a darkness rises, and this darkness will probably be the Sith, which will lead to the downfall of the Jedi, and the rise of the Empire, I suppose. But yeah, posters there in the tagline, in the captions, just trailer tomorrow, and then the next day we get the trailer. Let's just dive in. Back to you, Ian. Just what's your thoughts? What was your thoughts on the trailer and sort of what we got delivered here?
Well, obviously, we were lucky enough, me and you as well, at the High Republic panel to see the trailer. So the first half of the trailer was stuff we'd seen before, which was really cool to see it again. Like, I loved that trailer that we saw in Celebration for the Acolyte. And then it moved into the new stuff we haven't seen. There's so many things I have thoughts on. Who's carrying that red lightsaber? It was a perfect way, like Hondo said, to tease you with just like, oh, what's going on here? Like, what is the... It gave you the brief synopsis of the thing. Someone's murdering Jedi, and obviously we have to find out who. And it was just a really effective teaser trailer with our shot at the end, with the red lightsaber and all the Jedi going to fight something and being blown over by the red force, whatever that was, at the end of that trailer. So yeah, no, it was really, really effective. I love certain like standout moments from the trailer. For me was the Wookiee Jedi, Kel Naka, who obviously came out on stage at Celebration, which was really cool to see him actually in the show. And also the I'm trying to think what it was called again. Just a High Republic in general on screen, seeing the differences of the Jedi of that age. They're obviously very different to the Jedi that we see in the prequel era. Their robes, their so different way of going about things. If you know what I mean.
Funny you mention the robes. So I think we're going to see some time jumps and flashbacks, because in the beginning we see Carrie Moss and she's wearing more like Phantom Menace style Jedi robes, but then we see an image of her later on in the trailer, which is her in more High Republic era robes. So I wonder if we're going to see some sort of flashbacks and some time jumps here.
Yeah, it was really cool as well. Like, because we also see Vernestra Rowe in the trailer, who, for people who don't know who Vernestra Rowe is, she was introduced in the High Republic novel, A Test of Courage, and she is like a 15-year-old Jedi prodigy when she's introduced. She's a Jedi Knight at the age of 15, the youngest Jedi Knight in generations, and we see her in the trailer, and that's a really cool moment as well. So yeah, no, I think possibly you could be right with the time jump type of thing, that we could go back and forth between eras.
I think one of the things I also loved was sort of in the beginning, it's, and it matches the poster, the vibe of the poster. So again, I go back to the poster, but the poster says, in an age of light, a darkness rises, is the caption on the poster, okay? And then the beginning of this trailer, they're talking about the Force, the younglings are meditating, and, they see light, they see balance, but then one of them sees fire. And that's like, right, that's straight away, it's like danger, but also it's like, yeah, like that fire in the distance is maybe the Sith lurking and ready to reveal themselves. So I love that, sort of set the tone for like A, the trailer, B, the show, and I think C, what's going to come once this era merges into the prequel trilogy era. I did love obviously when the younglings are talking about that, when they're meditating, there's one youngling who's like I don't know what species he is, but he looks like a bit like a lion, but he's certainly got a big beard, so I don't know if he's actually a youngling or not, but he's certainly taking place in the youngling classes. But yeah, that was awesome. I thought, setting it up right, about the Jedi talking about someone's hurting Jedi, killing Jedi, and they need to investigate that. This cast list is huge as well, so I think I think there was a lot. It was a teaser trailer, so we didn't focus on too many different people, but obviously we focused on Jedi Master Sol. We focused on Carrie-Anne Moss's character, which is Jedi Master Indara. And we also saw May, who's the former Padawan learner, who's now a Dangerous Warrior, who was sort of attacking Jedi Master Sol, I believe, in the trailer, and also Indara. One thing that really intrigued me about the trailer was we introduced to these sort of witches.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that, Ian.
I have, yeah. Mother, I can't even pronounce Annie Sayer, who obviously, according to a Star Wars databank entry, is Mother Anastasia is the leader of a coven of witches who value their independence and preservation of their beliefs and powers, which is really cool. I didn't think we get witches in this story. I don't think they're Dathomiri witches either. I think this could be a new coven of witches from potentially another new planet. And yeah, no, she had a really striking look and really like vibe about her when she was on screen. Like, and she has that line in the trailer that I love from Celebration, which says, "This isn't about power. This is about who's allowed to use it." So yeah, no, I'm really intrigued to where witches would fall into this story. Are they aligned with the Sith? Are they helping the Jedi? We don't know. This is quite an intriguing new character.
It is indeed. I think I agree with you where it was very different stylistic choices to what the Dathomiri are, which is why I don't think it is Dathomiri. And yeah, we know that the Dathomiri witches are very much in league with Palpatine, during the Clone War, during the Fall of the Jedi, or sort of part of that. So maybe, who knows, maybe the Sith turn to these witches first, maybe it backfires, and that's why they end up turning to the Dathomiri later. We will see. Jason, let's go to you. Obviously, what were some of the things that really stood out in the trailer for you, and what were some of the most exciting things?
Obviously, I didn't get into the panel at Celebration, so all of this was completely new to me. And I was really, what caught me at the beginning was obviously, and I'm a huge Carrie-Anne Moss fan, both from like her work in obviously the Matrix films and Jessica Jones. So seeing her as an actress in this, it really sort of, and she does play quite dark characters. So I'm intrigued. Obviously, she's Jedi Master, but I'm wondering what part she's going to play. And obviously, she meets with this mysterious character who I believe from the trailer is linked to the main character Soul. So yeah, that piqued my interest straight away. Soul obviously looks like a really, really interesting character. Very much the Jedi Master vibes, with all the first educating the younglings, and then obviously clearly leading the other Jedi sort of to find out what's going on. So yeah, and seeing all this, these very different characters appearing in the trailer, some of them we just got brief snippets of, but all in all, I was like, yeah, this looks like a brand new type of Star Wars that I think I could quite enjoy, and I'm looking forward to the fact that it could set up some stories that, although very much Star Wars, will be different. And I'm not afraid of different in Star Wars. It's a very huge universe, and I think sometimes you just have to step away and let new stories and new vibes come through. And seeing the characters, obviously, seeing that Jonas is back as a Wookiee, obviously not Chewbacca, but Kalnaka, and just that whole bringing the Wookiees in, and obviously we know in the past that there's in current Star Wars, you've got Gunji as the Wookiee Jed Padawan, So seeing a Wookiee Jedi is going to be really cool as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, just that whole vibe with all those lightsabers lighting up to go into battle and then just seemingly blown down one by one red blade. To me, if that doesn't say the Sith, I don't know what does.
Well, it's a red lightsaber, so I think it's definitely a Sith Lord. Like, I don't know who else it would be at this
Yeah.
point. Which Sith Lord, I suppose we don't know. I was trying to sort of, when it lands back in the Sith Lord's hand, I was trying to sort of look at the hilt. I don't know if you could spot what kind of hilt it was. Ina didn't recognize it against any Sith we know currently.
I have a theory about this, and this is purely speculating in tinfoil hat. Like Jason said, Carrie-Anne Moss has been known to play some quite dark characters, and even in the trailer, I think the trailer is leading us to obviously think that May, the assassin, is the villain. However, I just have a sneaky feeling. I don't know why. It's also Carrie-Anne Moss's his lightsaber in the teaser poster. That's her lightsaber that's got the blood on it. I just have a sneaky feeling that she may be involved in something. I'm not quite sure, but it's purely based on who the actress is and that. And plus, the trailer does say right at the beginning, your eyes can deceive you, don't trust them. I just believe that something is going on with Master Indara's character. Like, her databank entry on Star Wars is very, very brief and to the point. It just says she's a Jedi with great physical and mental skill. And then, to be honest, the first time you see her with the hood, that's very Sith Lordy. I'm not saying she is a Sith Lord. I don't believe she would. I think her being a Jedi Master and also a Sith would be a bit weird. But mind you, the Jedi couldn't tell the Supreme Chancellor was a Sith Lord, and he was sat across the table from them. So yeah, no, I've got a sneaky feeling. As for the lightsaber hilt, no, I don't think it's anyone we can identify. The hand did look human, though. I don't know what you think about
Yeah, I thought it did look human,
Yeah.
which maybe steps away from it not being Plagueis, I suppose. If Plagueis in canon is going to be A in canon and B, is he going to be immune? Who knows? I think obviously, we got to see some other Jedi. We got to see Charlie Barnett's character, which is Yord Fandor. He's a by the Book Jedi Knight and a Temple Guardian. Which temple I don't know. Probably not Coruscant, I would imagine. So we did see some other Jedi's here. Obviously Daphne Keane, who's famous for being in the Wolverine movie, Logan, is going to be Jackie Lon, who is a Padawan learner and actually is Master Saul's Padawan learner. So we didn't really see much of them in the trailer, but we know they're going to probably have a bigger part in the series as a whole, which would be quite good. What did you make of the different colour lightsabers we see in this trailer, Jason?
Yeah, no, well, being a lover of lightsabers, it was feast on the eyes to see all these different colours light up, and it was like, oh, there's going to be so many hilts to buy. It just looked really awesome, and obviously, I'm looking forward to seeing more of these up close and personal, and as I say, I'm looking forward to seeing a bit more Jedi action. Obviously, the fight that we saw briefly of Carrie-Anne Moss, that looked awesome. Obviously, it gave me Matrix vibes, and it just looks like it's going all out for what this series is going to be. And really excited to see. I have a feeling as well, and I've discussed this several times with different people that a bit like what they've done with other series in the past. I think a lot of what we've seen in this teaser is the very early part of the series. I think they're only giving us a rough idea of where it's going to go, and so if we've got 8 episodes to go through, I think it's going to be a big ride.
Definitely, and I think we haven't really seen the villain or know who the villains are. So I think that's going to be a big reveal in the series when we get to that point, and understand what's going on there. Obviously, all the Jedi that we've seen in the trailer are described as like Jedi Knights, Jedi Masters, Padawans, but none of them are described as being on the Jedi Council. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I believe on the Jedi Council currently should be the likes of Yaral Poof and Opsis Rancis, I think, Ian. So we could see some Jedi Council members from the Phantom Menace here as Jedi Council members. Is that right?
Absolutely, yeah. According to the High Republic, you have Oppo Rancisis, Terra Sanube, Yarel Puff, Yaddle, Yoda, those type of Jedi. So yeah, I have to believe if there's someone killing Jedi, surely if they're going to get sent on a mission to find out who this is, they must go in front of the Jedi Council. So I truly believe we will see those Jedi. We might not see Yoda because it's been established in the High Republic that he was not always at the temple. He used to go off and do other things. He would go live with other cultures and learn the ways of their culture, just obviously to greatly understand his way of the Force. So yeah, no, I do believe though that we will see the Jedi Council in this show. Like I said, it's a pretty big deal if someone's killing Jedi that they need to obviously go in front of the council to figure out the best way to move forward with this.
Yep. Tell you who we won't be seeing though. We won't be seeing Stalin Garrios, will we?
No, mate, you never know. He could come back in that. I don't think he wouldn't be alive at this point anyway. Though I don't think because he's
tragedy. Yeah, he'd be dead.
I did like
making fun of the tragedy.
I know. I did like that we saw a Keldor in the trailer as well, in the group of some of the Jedi, and people were like, is that Plo Koon? And then in typical Star Wars fashion, it does say on Wikipedia that a Keldor's lifespan is about 60 years, 60, 70 years. However, a Keldor who's attuned to the Force can live up to 250 years, which I just think is very Star Wars. It says, oh yes. Yeah, we'll mess with the lifespans to suit our purposes. But yeah, so I wonder if it could be Plo Koon. You never know.
It could indeed. I wonder. Obviously, it didn't really show us anything to do with. One of the big things of the High Republic is actually the Republic itself, and sort of, the Chancellor and like in the political situation that's happening. Obviously, you wouldn't really see much of that in this trailer, but this series does take place towards the end of that High Republic era, heading into the sort of Phantom Menace era Republic, which is where we'll see sort of Chancellor Valorum eventually become Chancellor, I suppose. Do you think we'll see much of the Senate on Coruscant and much politics?
I wonder if we could see the Senate actually, and yeah, who will be Chancellor at this point? That'll be interesting. That would be an interesting thing to say. I think there's a chance, absolutely, especially if the Sith are involved, and we know how deep that their machinations in the political realm go. Obviously, we end up with the Sith Lord Chancellor. So yeah, no, I think that's more than a thing that could happen.
Jason, would you be wanting to see some of like sort of the inner workings of the Senate as well in this series, as well as just the Jedi Council?
Yeah, it'd be quite interesting to see because obviously it's going to be quite a different sort of time to what we. But obviously, I wonder if they might hold back on that because obviously Andor is quite heavy on what's going on with the Senate in the current time frame, so they might want to hold that back because it'd be too similar to that. But it would be interesting to see, the difference, and obviously the Republic at a very different time frame. So yeah, there's so much that they could include in this series. I get the feeling from the talk that's been given at the moment as well, this isn't going to be a one and done series. So I think there's a plan in place, and I think we could be getting, a few more years of this to go.
I think Leslie Headland, who is sort of the showrunner and the producer, like has said that like this is meant to be sort of a multi-series storyline, providing it does well, which I'm sure it will. So we will see. Any additional thoughts on how this trailer linked into any of the High Republic books, Ian?
It was just really cool. Obviously, I've started the High Republic with Light of the Jedi, and I've read pretty much all of it. There's still a couple of novels I need to read, just finding the time for that. But no, it's really cool to see a different era on screen. Like I said, we're very familiar with the Jedi Temple and Coruscant and the Jedi Council, but it's interesting to go back and see them when they're in their prime. Obviously, this is the story of them starting to slide towards their downfall. But no, just really cool. And yeah, just I'm hugely excited for this show. I'm a massive Dark Side fan, as people know, and just to see a story where it tells us the rise of the Sith and what they've been doing for the past 900 years since obviously Darth Bane established the rule of two. That's my two biggest takeaways from this show. Are the Jedi? I've seen a theory where the Jedi could potentially find out about the Sith and bury the information, like they did with the Nameless in the High Republic. For people who don't know what the Nameless are creatures. Some of the main threats in the High Republic, they're creatures who can use the Force against Jedi and overwhelm them with fear, and that obviously causes the Jedi to die. So I wonder, my biggest takeaway is, are the Jedi going to find out about the Sith and bury the information? Because obviously there's that line in The Phantom Menace where Ki-Adi-Mundi says, well, the Sith have been extinct for a millennium. And yeah, and also, will it answer, this is a question I've always wondered, will it answer how Yoda knows about the rule of two in The Phantom Menace? Obviously, they've just found out the Sith have returned and then he knew about the rule of two. So I'm very intrigued to see how they handle the Sith's return 100 years before they officially return, if you know what I mean.
No, definitely. It's very, very interesting. Very interesting. Do you think we'll see many planets in this series? Like a planet jumping, do you think?
I think there's a chance. We'll see Coruscant, obviously. We've seen Coruscant. We saw a planet that looked strangely like Acto, which did pique my interest. It did strangely look like Acto. Whether it is or not, I'm not sure, but it did look a lot like Acto, which is interesting. There was a snow planet. There was like a jungle planet. I do think there's a chance that we could, I think we'll do a fair bit of planet hopping on our way to whatever the conclusion of this show is. But yeah, definitely that planet did look like Acto, though, where they were stood on, which did pique my interest.
Yeah, they do think that as well, Jason, because I thought it looked like Acto as well, the sort of the rocks and the cliff edges sort of against the sea.
Yeah, it was the problem with Star Wars is quite often so many places look like what you think they're going to be, and then all of a sudden it's a different planet. But yeah, that did give me those vibes. So who knows? But I'd like to think that, if there is a hunt for a Sith, the likelihood is they're not going to stay based on one planet. So hopefully maybe this adventure will take us on a bit of a journey through the High Republic and the many planets that inhabit it.
I remember in the trailer we started Celebration, there was definitely Nemoidians in it. So could we go to Cato Nemoidia? There was also a planet where it had a big fortress in it, like a castle. And Tinfoil Hat again, back in the Darth Plagueis novel, he did have a retreat on the planet. I think it was Sojourn, where he had a castle, it was set up for when he used to meet with all crime lords and everything's obviously further the Sith's aim. So yeah, no, I do think there's a real good chance that we could do some real planet hopping. It's a mystery murder type thing as well, so it does make sense to be jetting around. It's not. I don't think it's going to be just set in one place.
Obviously, we know that we're going to see the Mestra Ro, who's, as you already mentioned, Ian was a sort of a young prodigy, the youngest Jedi Knight in modern history. I believe took an apprentice very early as well, like probably a year into being a Jedi Knight, took an apprentice. A leader in the Jedi Order, who maybe is starting to question which direction the galaxy is going in at this point. Now we're going to see at the oldest we've seen her in the books. So we're probably going to see, we are going to see her, and I think it's going to be, quite a big part of the series, I believe. Obviously, out of the Jedi who survive the High Republic, which ones do you think we're going to see, possibly?
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that, because I think Leslie Headland was a quote from her the other day talking about Venestra Ro, and they said, is there any chance we'll see any more book characters make it into the show? And she said, oh, well, I'm saving that for season 2. So it'd be interesting. Ones that come to mind: Buriaga, who is another Wookiee Jedi, who has a very prominent role in the High Republic books. He would be good. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head who else could. Off the top of my head, I can't think of anyone because a lot of the main protagonists are human. Avar Chris, Keith Trennis, and all that type of thing. It will be interesting to see if Keith Trennis is around at this point because we know she does go on to become a member of the Lost 20. So it'd be interesting if she's still about or whether she's left the Order at this point. But they are telling that story in the High Republic comic currently.
And I suppose the most important question is: will we see Nubs? Will Nubs move into live action here?
I'll let Jason answer that.
What was that?
Do you think Nubs from the High Republic Adventures? Think we're going to see Nubs crossover into live action?
Could be interesting. Older version of Nubs.
What if Nubs is actually the Sith Lord?
Oh well.
I think Kat would cry if that happened.
We'll have to ask her next time we get her on.
Always the last people you suspect. Always the last people you suspect.
Hashtag Nubs Nation. But no, I think it's really cool. The possibilities are endless for like subtle connections here throughout the High Republic, and obviously a lot of Jedi who you get attached to in the High Republic do die in the High Republic. It's quite tense, so we say, and tragic. But there is a lot of Jedi alive still, so I think possibilities are there. We also got a second poster, which was more sort of a Jedi looking towards the sunset. What's your thoughts on the second poster, Ian, and sort of how do you think it was different from the first poster?
I've got to be completely honest. To be fair, I bought both posters already. They're coming tomorrow, so I'm going to stick them up in my office. One thing that did make me laugh about the second poster is for people who obviously not listening, who aren't from the UK, it was quite funny. Someone did like a Scottish Widows, which is like an insurance thing in the UK, and it did look quite like one of them old Scottish Widows advertisements, which did make me laugh. But no, really, really enjoy it. Out the two, obviously the teaser is my favourite out the two. I think that's one of the best posters they've done since the teaser for The Last Jedi, which was a great poster as well. No, hugely excited. Like I said, it feels like they're really pushing all their eggs into this show's basket. And also, I think it does help as well that when they screen The Phantom Menace for the 25th anniversary, they are apparently going to do a special look at the Acolyte as well, which will obviously help with the knowledge of this show.
It certainly will. So, I mean, tickets are available now worldwide, but certainly here in the UK. So I've booked my tickets. I'm going on May 3rd for my first showing of Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, the 20th anniversary. So I think it's in 4K, and also, like I said, we're going to get a special look at the Acolyte after the movie finishes, I believe, which is going to be awesome. Have you booked your tickets yet, Jason?
No, I've been trying to find somewhere locally that's doing it. Bit of a grim situation down here in the southwest, but I was going to have a look later on this week.
Well, if you need to, just get up to Newcastle because it's on here. Well, I'll buy you a hot dog.
We've discussed the transport issues with Newcastle and Dorset. It's not good.
It's not, no. But Ian, have you managed to get yours booked?
Not yet, but I am planning on doing it. I don't know when I'm going to go or who with, but I am planning on going to see it. Like I said, Phantom Menace is low key my favourite prequel film, and yeah, no, hugely excited. I just need to find somewhere to go see it and with someone.
Well, Cineworld are like heavily advertising out there, showing it, and so are Odeon. So yeah, and it seems to be on for at least the first week. Although I think if it gets packed out, they'll maybe extend it to a second week. So I'm probably going to try and see it a couple of times when it's back in theatres, hopefully. No word yet in the UK though about a Saga screening on May the 4th. I know some cinemas in America have announced a Saga screening on the 4th where you get to see episodes 1 through 9 in a marathon, which I would do if it was available. But I haven't seen that in the UK yet. So watch this space on that one. I suppose something else that's tied into sort of how excited we are about the High Republic is, we've got the posters, we've got the trailer, we've got the release date. We know it's going to be 2 episodes for the premiere, which is all exciting. And then also, Hasbro actually had their ducks in a row for once, and the product is ready. And they've been teasing the High Republic figures, both in Black Series and the Vintage Collection this week as well. So what was your? It was a nice surprise to actually have the product, available to pre-order almost, and it's done ahead of time. My thoughts on a lot of repaints and using old molds. Obviously, these are all new characters, so to speak. So it's all going to be new pretty much. So what was your thoughts on us actually seeing and actually being able to purchase these High Republic, these Acolyte figures, like while the show was airing?
I'm not going to say it, but Star Action Figures might have took a pre-order from me for the first batch of figures coming out because, I have pre-ordered the first batch. I think it's Sol, Yord, Endara, May, and Jackie as well. So yeah, no, I'm with you. I was totally surprised when they did their Hasbro Pulse thing, and they were like, "We have figures ready." They're not coming out till September. That's when they come out. But still, just to have them ready, it's normally like 2 years after the show came out, to be fair. If you know what I mean. So yeah, no, hugely excited. Yeah, I've gone all in with the Acolyte. So yeah, I've pre-ordered the new High Republic figures because they've changed the box. They've got, I think this is the first couple with the new box design. So yeah, no, hugely excited.
No, it isn't. It's good to see them getting that right because in the past, you were able to shop figures, during the movie or during the show. And that hasn't happened much recently, but it looks like we're finally, getting something right there. People are excited about the show, so we'll get that product available from now because they're excited, which means they'll buy it. I don't know if you saw the Hasbro Pulse sort of marketing material, Jason, and what your thoughts about actually being able to sort of pre-order these characters now and actually see the images of them.
Yeah, like you, I was pretty amazed because obviously Hasbro have not been on the ball with a lot of stuff over the recent years. So I was really impressed that they got this together. And the figures do look pretty awesome, to be fair. So yeah, I think it's nice to see something good coming together. It looks like actually they might have got the marketing right on this one.
I certainly hope so. I think this is just the first wave of figures, so I imagine once the show's out, and the second waves will be even more characters, which will be awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think let's just go to you, Jason, now. So just final thoughts on the trailer and sort of what you're looking forward to the most about the series.
I'm looking forward to the fact that we're going into the unknown to a certain degree. This is something new, something that is still Star Wars, but is got a chance to build itself as something different. So I'm looking forward to that side of it. I'm looking forward to getting to know these new characters, and just basically going on another Star Wars adventure. Obviously, we've had news now that there's more films in the offing. So at the moment, it's very, very good to be a Star Wars fan.
No, it certainly is. It certainly is. Let's go to you, Ian. Just obviously, just final thoughts on the trailer, your favorite parts of it, and what are you most excited for about the show?
Favorite parts of the trailer is obviously the ending with the red lightsaber. Wasn't really expecting that. I didn't know if we'd get a full-on Sith character in the show straight away, so I was hugely excited by that. As for what I'm most excited about, just Sith stuff, Sith lore, Sith, what they've been up to for all these years. Yeah, no, hugely excited by what the Sith have been up to and how they go about answering the questions, obviously raising the prequels about the Sith being extinct and that type of stuff. So yeah, hugely excited.
Indeed. I just want to play a little game now where I'm just going to say some things that we may or may not see. I just want your thoughts on if you think we'll see them or we won't see them, okay? So we'll go to you first, Ian. Do you think we will hear a mention of Darth Revan?
Yes, potentially.
Jason, do you think we'll hear a mention of Darth Revan?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, good. Next up, do you go to you, Ian, again? Do you think we will hear a mention of Darth Bane?
100% yes. He is the person who created the rule of two. He's obviously the beginning of this whole new Sith way of thinking. So yes, I 100% think we will hear the name Darth Bane, potentially see Darth Bane in potentially a holocron or something like that. Yeah, I do think we will.
You as well, Jason?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, next one was obviously, we've been promised sort of, dark side lore, that type of stuff, artifacts. Yeah, I think you just mentioned it there, Ian, but, let's go to you first, Jason. Do you think we'll see sort of Jedi and Sith holocrons here?
Yeah, I think so. I think they're that steeped in Star Wars now that if you're going to explore the Jedi and the Jedi Temple, you're going to see the holocrons.
Do you think, Ian, that we will see the planet Batuu? I just feel that, if you can get that planet into a TV show, then it would sort of drum up interest in the Disney theme parks where Galaxy's Edge is the planet Batuu. I know it's been drummed up in books so far, but he has an opportunity to have it in live action.
I'm not so sure we'll see Batuu in the show. No, it depends. I know Disney do like their synergy and all that type of stuff, but I don't think it's just going to be shoehorned in. So no, I don't think we'll see Batuu in this, unless obviously the story calls them to go to Batuu.
Next one is for you, Jason. Do you think we'll hear mentioned about the prophecy of the chosen one?
I'm not convinced on the chosen one. No.
What about you, Ian?
No, I don't think so. I think no, I'm not so sure that we'll hear about the chosen one. Everyone is pretty familiar with that, and I don't think there'd be a reason to bring it up. There's more chance of potentially hearing the prophecy of the Sith Ari, which was a thing back in Legends. So yeah, no, there's more of a chance of that than the chosen one being mentioned.
Do you want to share a bit more information about that for the listeners?
The Sith Ari was basically the culmination of the Sith Grand Plan, where they would obviously destroy the Republic and the Jedi.
That would be pretty. Even if we saw that as like flashbacks or like Force dreams, that would be pretty wild. And then my next one, I suppose, is: do you think we will see the mention of any Nile, Ian?
Potentially, I think there could be like a throwaway line where they are mentioned. They were mentioned briefly in subtitles in Jedi Survivor, but no, I do think briefly we could get a mention of the Nile.
That would be pretty cool. And then I suppose last one for you, Ian, for you, Jason. Sorry, is, and I'm going to quote you this: will we see Nubs in this series?
I don't think so.
Ian, will we see Nubs in this series?
No, I don't think so. No.
Nubs haters. Both of you are Nubs haters. Hashtag Nubs Nation will rise against you all. I think that brings all the talk points I want to discuss. I suppose I have discussed. I don't know if there's anything that I haven't suggested that you guys want to cover.
Just thinking, no, not off the top of my head. No.
What's been your thoughts on, I suppose, obviously with, like I said, we've really have feasted this past week. We've had the posters, we've had the trailers, we've had the release date, we've had the merchandise, able to pre-order images of it. Obviously, there's also been quite a bit of press, like interviews with the crew. So sort of Leslie Headland's been doing quite a lot of interviews, or I think the interviews in the past, but we'll finally just release them into the world. So what's been your thoughts on sort of on Leslie Headland's comments about the Acolyte, and how does it get you excited for the show?
I'm excited because she generally grew up with the old EU, which she has mentioned in articles saying that there is some stuff from the ODU that she thought was so cool she has included in the show. Obviously, we don't know what that is, but that is really cool. She's also stated that a species that hasn't been seen on screen before will be introduced in the Acolyte that was famous in Star Wars Legends. So stuff like I'm hugely excited. The way she comes across is someone who really does know what she's talking about and seems to have a story she wants to tell. I think that's more important than what I'm trying to think what the studio wants to do. I think it's more important that you actually have a story to tell, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know what your thoughts have been, Jason, about like a lot of the comments in the feed we're getting out of the cast and crew who've been doing some interviews this past week.
Yeah, obviously, a lot of the interviews, as you say, were older ones that have resurfaced or been redone. But the one thing I sort of read, which piqued my interest and also made me quite excited about the whole thing, was the fact that she's been very open about having someone in the writing room that wasn't familiar with Star Wars whatsoever. And their purpose was to make sure that the story was told in an emotional and exciting way, and just to step back from Star Wars and make sure that it was a good series. And I thought that was, some people were like, "Oh, it shouldn't be. They need to be true Star Wars fans." No, they need to be storytellers. So to bring someone in who's unfamiliar but can then embrace the storytelling, I think that's quite a wise move. And I was impressed that she'd had the guts to stand up and say, "Yeah, that's what I've done, and this is why I've done it."
Yeah, and there's a lot of writers in that writers' room. It's not a case of like we've give the whole project to somebody who doesn't understand Star Wars. Like it's good to have that.
Exactly.
It's good to have that sort of that opinion in there. It's like if you're too included in it and you're writing it, the person who's maybe not who's at a distance from it can ask questions and poke holes and things that we don't see because we're too blinded by Star Wars. That makes sense. So yeah, I think it's a really good sign that we're combining both experience and non-experience, and probably making a new Star Wars fan out of that writer as well, which is pretty cool.
Exactly.
Are you going to get any of the merchandise, Jason? I don't know if you've seen it get released or not.
I I'm looking at it. The one thing that's piqued mine and we haven't mentioned that's been announced at the same time. The one thing that I'm really tempted by is the Black Series Moff Gideon helmet, because that does look awesome. The High Republic stuff, yeah, I might do if it. I'll wait until I actually see it and see if it takes my fancy. Collecting the figures, I sort of haven't gone down that rabbit hole. Obviously, I'll look forward to seeing what Lego comes out with because they're bound to bring out some Acolyte Lego sets. And as you know, that's where I really get excited.
Definitely. What do you think some of the sets could be? We're going to get a lot of new minifigures. Obviously, that's really cool.
Yeah, it'd be obviously one that we saw one craft, I think, getting blown to smithereens in the trailer. But obviously, there's likely to be some different spacecrafts that we haven't necessarily seen before. And as you say, obviously, Lego are getting pretty good at doing their like diorama type sets and stuff. So I'd like to think maybe they could end up getting some sort of sets like that. Um, so yeah, maybe we'll get similar to the battle packs with the clone figures. We might end up getting some Jedi battle packs, which would be really cool.
It certainly would be. I think something else that's exciting about the show and helps it look different is that I don't believe that any of the Acolyte has been filmed on the the name escapes me
The
on
volume.
the volume. Yeah. So I think it was literally it was filmed in London at Shinfield Studios in Berkshire, and obviously location filming in Wales and Portugal is what we know about it. So and it does have a different look to some of the other stuff we've seen, which I think is good. It helps give this its own sort of mythology, I suppose, which is really cool. Yeah, I guess that brings into sort of a review of the Acolyte. I suppose what I want to know, we'll go to you first, Jason. Do you think we're going to get a second trailer before the end of before the start of June, I suppose?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if we get some, possibly May the 4th. Maybe a little bit more in depth. Maybe this is just a teaser. Obviously May the 4th is getting closer. But yeah, I think there will be some more. There's going to be some more feeding out up until June the 4th. Obviously it's literally going to be a month after we finish Bad Batch, so we're not going to have much time to breathe before we're back into the Star Wars universe, which is great.
No, it certainly is. Yeah, it certainly is. Ian, I don't know what your thoughts on sort of what we're going to get next before we actually see the series. Future trailers, TV spots, that type of thing. I wonder if the special look we're going to get at the end of the Phantom Menace is going to be more of a behind the scenes sizzle reel. We haven't had one of them in a while, or is it going to be more of like a traditional trailer? Do you think?
Yeah, I think potentially could just be a scene from the show, which they could show, like maybe some of the fighting. It'd be like an action thing. I would have thought. I think we could obviously, like Jason said, get another trailer before it comes out. I also think they could reveal like the official, like full on poster. Obviously, we've had 2 teasers so far. I do think we could get the official show poster before, obviously, it comes out in June.
Indeed. Well, I think if that brings an end to sort of thing, I want to say, Jason, any closing comments and where can the people find you on social media?
Just obviously carry on enjoying everything Star Wars and carry on listening to us talking about everything Star Wars. And as usual, you can find me at Hondo Ling.
And Ian, obviously, any closing thoughts about the Acolyte or anything Star Wars, and just again, where can people interact with you on social media?
Hugely excited. It's a fresh time in Star Wars. It's a new story set outside the Skywalker saga, and I can't wait to break it down on here after the episodes and give our reviews of the episodes together, which will be really cool. If people want to find me on social media, I am at Star Wars Ian on X.
Fantastic. And you can find myself on X and Instagram at Geordie Jedi Pete. You can find the podcast on X at Boz Star. You can also find the podcast on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Star Wars Podcast. If you're listening on Apple Music or on Spotify, please just leave us a top review. Again, it makes all of us smile for a long time, only takes you a few moments, and it helps people find the show. And if you are listening on any of the other wonderful podcast applications, again, if it has the ability to leave a review, just leave us a top review, please. Again, keeps us happy, smiling for a long time, only takes you a few moments. Again, helps people find the show. But yep, Acolyte, it is coming in June the 4th. We're getting 2 episodes for the premiere on Disney+. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. I think I'm sensing going to be a lot of tragedy in this show. There's the Jedi start getting knocked off one by one, which I think we're probably going to see. It's going to be quite a bit of sort of maybe a murder mystery, and the bodies are going to start piling up as we go, as they follow the breadcrumbs to the dark side and possibly the Sith. It's going to be wonderful. But thank you very much for listening. May the Force be with you all. And remember, always tell that to Kanja Club.
The Dorky Diva Show presents...
Why is this seat so much more comfortable?
The long-awaited sequel to the adventures of the Zolan Dart audio drama.
Have you seen the captain's datapad?
Trying to work, Murph.
Piloting the Zolan Dart by himself.
You do understand the details of this particular job, correct?
I've been on plenty of jobs like this. With you!
Reldar Sias returns to a planet he thought he'd left behind for good.
Is there a reason you didn't mention I was tagging along?
Hopefully having you there will make others think twice about messing with me.
Making new friends.
Oh, you must be the pilot of the Zolan Dart, yes?
I guess I am.
And reconnecting with old ones.
Reldar?
Vera?
What are you doing here?
Until past grudges resurface.
I'd be minding my own business if I were you.
Well, if your business wasn't being handled right in front of my face, maybe I could mind my own business. We have to leave. Now.
Why the rush all of a sudden?
We're in trouble.
If it isn't little Reldar Scythe.
Hey, Yorick. Long time no see.
Roz already knows you're here.
Oh.
Look who decided to come home.
Reldar must confront his origin.
I must admit, I never saw this as being a part of your past, Softshell.
Or let it define his future.
I will get what is owed to me, no matter the cost.
Because what Roz is trying to do is wrong.
Says you.
My blasters. We're going to need these. Take that, Sleemo.
Who do you think you are?
The Adventures of the Zolan Dart, Episode 2, coming soon.